Hi, this is Mrs. Duncan, your English 102 teacher, and I'm going to go over Essay 4 with you. This particular unit week, Unit 10, you start with the outline, and the outline is based on some analysis, so I hope you get started early in it. It's going to create the content for your draft, which is due next week. And, we've got a lot going on, but the webcam video assignment, which is the other one, is just really just showing me that you've read and understood the story so that you can tell me it. So don't read it to me. Tell me kind of what's going on with the story to the point, of Act 2. And that's really all you have to do there, and no discussion and so forth. But here is Essay 4. Now, Essay 4 is not about Dollhouse. We haven't finished talking about that yet. Essay 4 is a comparison contrast essay. Hopefully you've done one of those before, but I've got very detailed instructions, and your outline is like a fill in the blank after you do some analysis. I have a template. Okay, I'm going to scroll slowly down, and there it is. So you're gonna fill that in. Okay, you've got to do some analysis first. That's what comparison and contrast is. You look at two subjects. In our case, it's two stories that we've studied already, even had a test on, even had a midterm on, and pick out similarities and differences between the two, focused on something in specific. So let's take a look here. I may open that up in a minute, but here's the main points I want to go over with you. When it's finished, it'll be, an MLA formatted 5-paragraph essay that you did yourself, and you did the analysis, 750 to 1,000 words. But what it does is it takes two of our reading selections. Dollhouse is included because as an option, because there's enough content already to do some comparisons, say, on a couple of the main characters. But if you're not feeling comfortable with that, you've got Worn Path, Everyday Use, and Rocking Horse Winter. So you're going to look for points of similarity or difference, and I really, want you to focus on one or the other, but sometimes it can be confusing and you need to do, not confusing, but complex, and you need to do a combination. Here's what you're going to focus on: characters, conflicts, themes, point of view, or use of symbols. So you get to pick 3 of those, because you're going to have 3 points. It cannot be done, here's all the similarities, then here's all the differences. That will not work. You've got to have 3 points of either difference or similarity, one for each body paragraph. Now I'm going to let you propose some additional, prompts. Choose one or come up with your own, as long as it fits this right here: characters, conflicts, themes, with these stories, and then you put that in your outline. But you're safest to kind of go off of this. So here are some prompts. Do you think Nora has anything in common with another female protagonist, such as Mrs. Johnson or Phoenix Jackson? So if you do, then what would be 3 points of similarity that you think are important? Not obvious, but important. I mean, the obvious ones are they're both female. Well, we know that already. They're both protagonists. We know that already. So don't give me what's obvious. But they're different people. They're different races. They're in different parts of the country in different time periods. But maybe you see something in the strength of their character, or in the way they deal with adversity, or something like that. That's more of a conflict or a theme that you feel like would be interesting to write about and do these interesting points of similarity. Here's another one. Or is Nora remarkably different from Paul's mother? This is Rocking Horse Winter, on family and her view of money. So focused on how they view, so you would think, I wonder about that, Hester versus Nora. They're not the same. They made different choices, but they both really made some choices about what the importance of money was and the importance of family, right? And so you would find 3 specific differences, how they viewed family, how they viewed in view of money, and you'd have to come up with a third way on that, to get a 3-point outline. How do 2 of the stories deal similarly or differently on the subject? We can make it wider than just 2 specific protagonists or characters on money, marriage, and family. So you could take, but keep it to 2 stories. Don't do different ones on each one. So you could have how Dollhouse and Rocking Horse Winter were different on money, and then on marriage, and then on family, or how they were similar. And that would be bigger than just Nora and Hester if you wanted to do that. Another one: what 2 stories deal with similar struggles? There's your conflict one, even though the circumstances are different. And here's some ideas. Marital and family conflicts, okay? Racial tensions, past old ways versus modern new ways. So, there's an idea. Maybe you can come up with another one and you put that in a different one that fits. So, dealing with struggles, conflicts, looking for that similarity or how they deal with them differently. What about themes? Identity, how we looked at that a lot with everyday use. How do they see themselves? Who you identified with, identity. But that's not say it's not in the other ones as well. What they identified as giving themselves or others value. What about gender roles? Like what it means to be a man or what it means to be a mom or what it means to be, a daughter or what it means to be lucky, right? Gender roles or that kind of thing. Individual values versus society values. A couple of our individuals have found themselves working outside of what society said is important or the norm. What about the theme of change? What about the theme of sacrifice? So if you can find one where you go, oh yeah, I see this in this story and in this story, then come up with 3 ways it's either similar or different so that you can have your 3-point outline. And then the last possibility here, do 2 of the stories use similar archetype symbols? Some people really may be able to see that well, and some examples are the use of colors. One archetype is a good mother versus the terrible mother. There's a lot of archetypes. You might need to look those up, or if you want to do that and you want some, I can give you a really good handout on that. Archetype of water, hero patterns, there's a lot of that. It's a specific type of symbol, and maybe you could see how they're similar if that really interests you. But again, other than saying some information on archetype symbols, you can't go to an outside source that says how they're similar or different. This has to be what you see and within this zone of things that we've actually kind of looked at, all right? So that's really important. It has to be based on your own reading and your own observations. It's your own critical thinking analysis process. But it has to go beyond the obvious, like I said, being female or whatever, or the obvious difference that they're written in different times, or they have different authors or different storylines. That's not what we're talking about here, okay? If you want to see what one looks like, our literature book has some instruction on general comparison contrast writing on pages 42 and 43, followed up with a sample essay, pages 43 to 46. So especially if you've never done one before, it'd be good to see how one is written. Well, once you've picked out, before you can even do an outline, you got to figure out what you're going to write about and what those points of comparison or contrast are with your stories, what your focus is going to be. And once you've done that, then you just plug this in. Now you'll need to, copy paste this into your own document to submit it, but you tell what the 2 stories are here, and then what is that focus? For example, is it similarities between themes, or obviously you're going to be more specific, right? Or differences in the female protagonists, but whatever is the focus of your comparison and contrast, then you're going to state that there, and then your 3 points. Your 3 points, just stated in your thesis here. Nora is similar to Hester in these 3 ways, something like that, or they're different in these 3 ways, or they have this one similarity that's key, but they're different in these other 2 ways that are important, about family, view of money, and maybe in whatever 3rd item you found. Okay, so that's what you state there, and then that matches up with each one of these. If it was differences in family values, then that's what you would say here. They differ in family values. If they differ, or there's similarity in how they dealt with money, they're similar in their view of money. Like I said, I'm not giving you your whole thing, so you got to fill in something that you see on your own, but I have to use something for an example. Now all this is when you do this type of format, you've got to do a parallel structure. So let's say it's Nora and Hester, and they differ in family. Then in this one you decide if you're going to discuss Nora first or Hester, but you got to do the same thing every time. If you're going to do Nora first, then how Nora views family values, and then how Hester views family. Then if the next one is their differences on money, then it's Nora first on money, Hester second on money. So you've got to keep that that parallel order. And so what this is most of the work is coming up and figuring this out and what your 3 points of similarity or difference are. differences are, and then this is just how it's going to be organized. Okay, so you list out what you've selected, and then this is to help you organize for your draft. You don't have to fill in the conclusion yet because you haven't thought it all through, and CC transitions, those are important to comparison contrast writing. You use on the other hand or something like that if these are differences, but if they're similarities, then you use something like similarly. And this is just to remind you that when you move from one subject to the next in your paragraph, you have to have one of those kinds of transitions. All right, so that is the work that you'll be doing this week. So it's a lot of thought and analysis. And sometimes, what we've been doing for the first two is you kind of think through and analyze or discuss it first, but now we're in our fourth. You had to do the third one on your own for midterm. Now this is your fourth, and this is you kind of thinking it through yourself and what you observe. And this is so many different, possibilities. This is where you're really working on your own and doing your own individual analysis. Okay, but again, this is on, except for Dollhouse, this is stories that we have talked about, you've discussed, you have written about, you've been tested on. Now you're just thinking about them differently, as more than one at a time on something and looking for that similarity or contrast. If you have an idea that you're not sure is going to work out, email me early in the week and say, I was thinking this would this work, and that way you're not caught at the end when I don't see it till the next week and going, maybe that isn't going to work out, or maybe it's not clear. So just the document itself, as we wrap up here, gives the whole overview of the whole process. Most of the information I just gave you, that's relevant for this week, but then looking ahead. Let's see if we can get this. It's loading up. There we go. Kind of what I told you there. Point by point is important. Some of the prompts, we already went over those. And just, our process. We have a 3-week process on this. Outline, draft, then the peer review, and the final essay. Okay. This is a reminder of your 5-paragraph essay structure, and see how it follows the outline that you're putting together. Okay. And then it has about your works cited page, because actually this time you'll need 2, because you have 2 stories. So you'll have a citation for story number 1 and a citation for story number 2, and a nice little template to work from there, although there's been some in your book and there's been some in Blackboard. But there you go, everything that you need for it, and what you've got to do up here. Of course, remember, you create your outline using the template, putting it in a Microsoft Word document with your name on it, MLA heading as always, and then you click on here to submit it. Okay, let's make sure we haven't forgotten anything else. That's the main thing for this week. The only main video to watch, right, because you have a short one on Dollhouse about how plot structure works for this. You got a little webcam video assignment, and it's not real long, but it does count a lot, because it really matters to me that you're reading and understanding the story. And so in your webcam video, you're saying, hey, this is what's happened so far, and here are 4 of the main characters and kind of how they are related to one another. So it's a check-in. I don't want you to read it to me, okay? You can use a note card, because I know you can make you nervous and you might forget, but don't read it to me. This should be you, a webcam video of you. I see your face, I hear your voice, and you telling me kind of what you've read so far in the play and what's going on, what's happened, and how 4 of the main characters are related. So roughly it has to be at least 3 minutes. Don't make it overly long, but it needs to be long enough to do the job, and it's worth 50 points. And I've got the little rubric in here too, so you kind of see what I'm looking for when I'm grading. Come on, load up, because we're almost out of time. Okay, yeah, if it responds to the prompt, does it summarize, does it mention 4 main characters, how entertaining, interesting, okay? If we can really hear it, follow it, and so forth. So pretty straightforward, but that's kind of how I'm going to determine whether you did what you're supposed to for that assignment. Okay, so no quiz, no discussion,